Now, I'll just touch one or two more points, if you permit. The first is, much is being said about the opposition parties, and especially the BJP, tying the hands of the government and not allowing the government to proceed fast forward. This is a charge that we reject with all the emphasis at our command. We are not standing in the way of progressive economic legislation. Their problems are within the coalition. And I'll give you an example. In the winter session, which is almost 8-9 months ago, the then finance minister, who is now our Rashtrapati, had a discussion with us about the pension reform bill. And we told him that you accept some of the recommendations which the all-party standing committee of parliament has made. We'll go along, we'll support it. He was game. He even sent a senior official to me to sit down with me and work out the draft amendment. Everything was set until Bengal came in the way. And that was the end of it. So from the winter session to this monsoon session, that legislation has not been brought forward because there are contradictions within the coalition. Now, there is a legislation to increase foreign direct investment to 49% in the insurance sector. The Standing Committee on Finance, which I chair, has recommended that it should be kept at 26%. And in fact, we have said that as far as financial sector generally is concerned, foreign direct investment for the time being should be capped at 26%. Because of what's happened globally, we have to be cautious, and that caution has been India's strength in the past. If we have not gone down under, it is largely because of that cautious policy that we have followed. There was a time when we were criticized globally until a time came when India's example became a model for the management of the external sector. So this is what we have said, which will apply to banking, to insurance, to pension. But you must have read in the papers, the land acquisition bill, a very important piece of legislation. Now there are contradictions within the cabinet. 5 ministers or 4 ministers spoke against it in the cabinet meeting which was held yesterday. And they have said the bill in its present form could not be accepted. The finance minister has publicly said that the direct access code bill needs to be re-examined. Now take these two bills, the land acquisition bill and the direct access code bill. The government thought about it more, and then finally in their wisdom drafted these bills. Then they introduced them in Parliament. Then they went to their respective standing committees. The direct access code bill came to us in the Finance Committee. The land acquisition bill went to the Rural Development Standing Committee. And the standing committees worked hard on these bills and returned these bills to Parliament, to government. The direct access code bill, I was very keen that we should give our recommendations before the budget. The budget was coming on the 16th of March. We submitted the report on the 9th of March. And as I told the then finance minister, the purpose was that he could make a reference to it in his budget speech and say, I'll come back to Parliament instead of introducing the GAR chapter as he did in the finance bill. So it came to us on GAR. The Prime Minister, when he was Finance Minister, appointed the Parthasharthi Shom Committee. They came and saw me, and I told them that look at the recommendations which the Standing Committee has made, and this will involve amendment of the Act itself, not merely the rules. Now I am absolutely amazed that a government will function in this manner, that they will take years to prepare a bill, introduce it in Parliament, it will go to the Standing Committee, come back, and then they will say, we want to rethink, we want to consider it again. The same thing happened to the Companies Bill. After long gestation, it came to the Standing Committee. It's a humongous bill of over 400 clauses. We worked hard on it, gave our report. The government took 16 months to bring it back to Parliament. 16 months. And then they said, apart from the recommendations of the Standing Committee, we have also considered the suggestions in the interim which have been made by other stakeholders. Then we said, you have to refer it back to the Standing Committee. And that is parliamentary practice, so they couldn't deny it. We have sent it back again. But what is happening on this front, on the legislation front? I am saying this to the young Indians because you must understand that we are not standing in the way of any legislation. The goods and services tax. There are many people who believe that the moment the GST is introduced in this country, our GDP will grow automatically by 2%. There is an NCAR study for this. Now, I was very keen that we will submit the report of the committee on the GST bill in this session of Parliament. Then there were changes in the Finance Ministry, and the replies to questions that we had asked were not sent to us. So what can we do? We can't submit a report in a vacuum. We can submit a report only when we get the replies, especially from the Ministry of Finance. So that's got delayed. This is not only paralysis of decision making. I don't know how it will be described in management terms, that you go on considering an issue, go on reopening in the government important pieces of legislation and never achieve finality. How can a government function which does not have a final word about anything? Then, my last point. You need a vision, as Shri Chaudhary said, but apart from the vision, you also need willpower, the determination to implement that vision. Where is that determination? The biggest question that India is facing today is not lack of vision. The biggest question that we are facing is not lack of understanding, not confusion about what needs to be done. I think everyone is clear about what needs to be done. What is lacking is the determination on the part of the government to do it. That is what is missing. And it's not merely, as I said, paralysis of decision making. It is a complete rejection of action. We will just not act. Do what you want. And to boot, we'll say we'll also indulge in massive corruption. Now, the alchemy is complete. Rejection of action and corruption. It's a deadly combination to kill any germ. and most certainly the germ of economic growth. This is where we have to be on our guard. I said in the beginning, I am not pessimistic. Why am I not pessimistic? Because governments will come and go. Some governments will enable you to do, or let me put it like this, some governments will create a better enabling atmosphere. Some governments will not create an enabling atmosphere. They may even damage the atmosphere which had existed from before. But the driving force, the trigger, the mind which will take us forward is the mind of people like you. We have played out our role. We shall soon be consigned to history. The future belongs to young Indians, and young Indians must assert themselves in order to take this country forward. We may have failed. My plea to you will be, you should not fail. Please succeed. For God's sake, please succeed. Thank you.